again, right? Hey, what's going on, Kit?
Hey Nino, how you doing?
I am having a mental breakdown.
What do you mean?
Oh my God, Kit, has it been this bad for this long? I am literally just, let me put it this way. I had a plan. I'm like, you know what? This could work. Hey, you come with a little bit of honesty and like, good faith or whatever. And then you slowly realize that, the lights start to turn on and, you know, you got like, what's like an ugly, like animal?
An ugly
Yeah,
animal?
like an ugly one, like a
Um,
nasty one.
like a nasty
It's a
animal.
nasty animal.
I'm trying to think of one that's, um, gosh, like, like emus. Those are pretty intense.
An emu?
Yeah, they're not. I
The
mean, I
hell's
wouldn't
an
say
emu?
they're not like. They're kind of ugly.
As an
It
animal?
yeah, kind of freak me out.
I don't think I've ever seen an emu before. What is that?
It's kind of like an ostrich,
What the
but
fuck?
scarier looking.
Yeah. Um. So. So let me kind of paint you what's going through my mind. Um, I had a client explain to me. Oh my God. Oh, that the
You,
entirety of the detective unit illegally went through someone's text messages. You need to keep this between us.
I think I know who you are speaking about because this person told me about this situation earlier today.
Oh my God, thank God.
You talking about my sister?
Who's your sister?
Tilly?
Yes.
Yeah. No, I know about it.
Can
She
we
told me
can we
about
have
it.
like a you and I like we keep this between us conversation?
Yeah, I mean, uh she she spoke to me about it like under sort of privilege, even though I
Yeah.
told her I couldn't help her with it because, we are related. And I told her that she should talk to you. Um
She did, and now I don't even know if I want to run for mayor anymore because I think it's unfixable.
I mean,
Kit, his I'm gonna I listen. I called everybody that I could possibly talk to before I, you know, lose my mind, and I'm gonna
mhm,
explain my thought process. And given that you got this information and it's privileged, this makes it a lot easier because I would have had to speak to someone in
yeah.
code.
No, I know
Um,
about it, and this is between us, you know, and Tilly, and
yeah.
she already told me that she was planning on working with you on it.
The
So,
problem that I'm trying to unravel in my mind right now is when I hear of her situation. Here's how I like to. Here's how my mind works. Right.
mhm.
Um, I think about a circumstance, and then I sort of ask myself, what, like, if something were to happen to me, I say, what if it were to happen to others? Um, and right now, what I'm trying to process through my mind is if the entirety of the detective unit went through this poor woman's cell phones and found nothing wrong with doing that. And I think about all the steps that they would have had to make, all the opportunities for them to say, wait, hold on, this is wrong. For them to do so as a trio, and not one of them spoke up or asked themselves, should we be doing this? Or like, hold up a second.
I
Then,
remember that Tilly said it was Slacks. Did she say who the other two were?
Riker and Maeve.
Was it Maeve? Riker and Maeve? Those two are a pair. But you know, I will say, as far as Maeve goes, and I'm not trying to justify, I'm just, I guess, trying to give you maybe a little bit of insight as
Okay.
to why she's acting the way she is. Maeve is still pretty new to the PD. She is pretty green. And in my experience, you know, I've seen it many times. Green cops they're very hungry. But you know, they're also sloppy. They don't know how to necessarily do their job properly yet.
so
And
how are they detectives?
I think that this is kind of one of my issues with the PD. Part of the reason, you know, I used to be an FTO. I was a very active FTO. I really enjoyed training cadets and helping people, you know, get to full officer, full deputy. And when I moved back here and joined the PD again, you know, I kind of immediately saw the writing on the wall with the cadet program. I felt like it was very fast and loose. I felt like the standards had drastically gone down. And so I kind of removed myself from training because I disagreed with the way that they were doing it, and like the standard of police work that they were training people to do. And I think Maeve is a product of her environment. I think she's doing exactly what she was trained to do, and unfortunately her training was very lacking. I I don't I don't think that it's, I mean, I think it's a combination of, you know, her being green and being hungry. And, you know, she told
This
me
is the
that
perfect person to
like a
talk
week
to
after she
simmer
got full
Nino.
officer, they had promoted her to, you know, like motor lead, and now she's a detective. And I'm not saying that she isn't, I think she's capable. And I
Mm.
think that with time, she could absolutely excel and grow into those positions. But I just, you know, given the sort of missteps that she's taken recently, you know, it's a little concerning. I think, you know, they're trained to be kind of fast and loose with things, and that's what she's doing.
How do I take this in, right? Regardless of, I don't know these individuals on a personal level, nor do I. Look, I'm not trying to be like crass or whatever, but I don't really give a shit who they are and whatever, right? Like when I look at it through the lens of these three officers who've been empowered to become detectives have gone through without checking with each other, because I don't even think you need training to be like, this is wrong. To collectively go through someone's personal text messages, your colleague, she works for the department, for whatever the reason might be, and no one says, wait, hold on a minute, can we do this? Should we stop? And then effectively blackmail her? I then get left with the following conclusion, which is, if they are willing to do this to her coworker, what about
What are
someone?
they willing to do to people they don't know?
Exactly. And someone that they can more easily justify doing something to. Someone that they think may have hurt someone. that may have wronged someone. Like, if they can do it with her, then what about someone who's accused of committing a crime? It's like it sounds like like I don't even
It is a foundational problem within the PD. And when I became a lawyer, part of the reason why I wanted to become a lawyer is because I was consistently hearing about these kind of issues from various people.
Mm.
That their rights were being violated, that the PD was basically cutting corners, that just all of these negative things. And I feel that part of the
Oh, do
reason
we
why the
tell her
PD does what it
what
does,
Tilly told her?
is
Told him.
because they're essentially allowed to. Like, there's
Yeah.
nobody holding them accountable for their actions.
I don't know. I don't know if
And so I
Nino's
wanted to
gonna
become a
burn Tilly
lawyer
over this.
so that way I could try to fight back against it.
That's where Nino's a man
And
of
this
his
is
word,
going to sound a little naive, and stay with me
and
here.
he's not.
I wasn't able to help improve the PD while I was in the PD, so I thought maybe I could do it from the outside. And
Yeah. You know, I
and
sorry,
unless
continue.
somebody actually, steps up and holds them accountable for their actions, and it's just going to continue and probably continue to get worse because, like you said, if a detective unit, which in my mind should be held to a much higher standard and scrutiny than the rest of PD,
Of course.
is doing
Absolutely.
this kind of thing, then what does that mean for everybody else?
Or the future, right?
Yeah.
Like if this is the beginning, then it's already at the end. Like what then? Like it's got me, like that had me already sort of spiraling down this path of like, we could say, well, this is a one-off, but that's not reasonable to think that. This is more like, what else, right?
Yeah.
If it happened
Yeah.
here, how often did it happen previously? Mind you, I already had at least one of these names pop up for some very unscrupulous activity. There's something else that then kind of spiraled me even further. And where Kit, I've had, oh man. Can I call you right back? I need to get permission
Yeah.
for something.
You're good.
All right. I appreciate
Okay.
it. Bye.
All right, bye.
Nino would never betray trust with anybody. She said it in confidence. Nino's not going to put it out there. He's going to ask for permission first. Oh, God damn it. Fuck. What was the info? So Nino is already on edge for the... Okay, so I'll break it down for you. Nino is already on edge that at the smallest amount of resistance that Nino created, you've got the heads of police department calling Nino a snake and all kinds of shit. And so Nino's like, huh? And while spiraling already down this path of like, He then is told that a dispatcher on his profile put a bunch of tarnishing statements because Nino said she was useless and inferred that she wants him trespassed from Mission Row, which frankly boils down to Nino being like, you can't fix that. That's like a behavioral issue. So Nino has went from like, hey, we can work on this, to like, it's rotten to the core. And so, yeah. Yeah, that, I don't know what to say about that. Like, what is, oh my God, dude, the poor criminals who've went through this. This is insane. Hey.
Hi.
I wasn't able to get permission on this one thing. But
It's
let's
okay.
just say something hit my desk, in which I'm going to be very careful with my words because I don't want to insinuate more than what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
I've been a mechanic, running a shop for about like, I want to say like 2 months.
Okay.
You know, took a bit of a break, came back. I've done one cell rep and had a interaction on FOIAs and had a not so pleasant conversation with a member of dispatch. Subsequently, I have the heads of the department running around calling me a snake and all kinds of shit. So that sort of leaves me like in a rather distasted predicament where I sort of am like, I've spoken to these individuals for a grand total across the board for maybe an hour.
Mm-hmm.
Is this the level of shallowness that they function off of? And for them to have gotten to that level of a disposition over nothing makes me want to wipe the police department with a new commissioner if I do win. And I find that because if this has happened to a businessman who's run a mechanic shop, has never committed a single illegal activity used to fix PD vehicles, and the moment I'm a lawyer and I question the FOIA, I've got the sheriff, I've got the assistant chief, and an ex-captain talking shit and making up all kinds of shit. How do normal people get treated that may have jaywalked?
Yeah. Well,
It is rotten to the core. It is like a metastasize. Like, what the hell happened? What happened while I was on vacation?
so Tilly mentioned the whole FOIA thing to me. She mentioned that, it's basically took it to, I don't know who you took it to. You took Crane or somebody or Braun, and
Yeah.
now things are being reworked and rewritten, and
Yeah.
new laws are being put in place, which I don't think is a bad thing. you know, but, when I was talking to Tilly and she told me that, she was talking to Bones and this needs to stay between me and you
Of
because I don't
course.
want, Tilly to, you know, get in trouble, with her work for
Oh
talking
no.
about this kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I guess I just want you to sort of shed some light, or I want to shed some light for you on kind of the mentality that's happening in
Oh
PD.
no.
Tilly said that like she didn't think that, the FOIA thing would cause that much harm. And I guess Bones was like, it actually caused a lot of harm. They're rewriting the whole, all the laws and changing everything. And
Wait, they put it on her?
well, hold on. Hold
Oh
on.
my,
I
yeah.
don't think that's all fine. Her job is fine, but what really kind of struck a chord with me is that he said that that caused harm, that it was a bad thing. It was a bad thing that now the PD is being kind of held to a higher standard and has to
Uh?
basically do their job. Um, you know,
Oh my god.
and
Oh my god.
for
Yeah.
me, you know, I don't know if it's Murphy or even Crane or something, but there's this massive disconnect, what I'm noticing, between the DOJ and the PD. And I think that that needs to be resolved. Um I think that like the PD and the DOJ need to stop thinking it's like us versus them. And the fact is like we're all government employees. We're all, working for the state. I'm not sure how it turned into this kind of just I don't know where this disconnect came from. And I don't know. I mean, do you think that like what do you think? Like can there be some kind of repair? Can
No. I think this entire police department needs to be. Look, I don't want to make it like I want to make be very and I mean this honestly. Um I don't need to be this. I have zero personal gain. Um, you know, got plenty of assets overseas. I got you know, I kind of showed up out of boredom and kind of had a feeling of self what is it called? Like I felt like there was some change I could bring that would be positive. And I had a very honest I came very honestly to both Slacks and Ruby. And for me, I feel I've been met by the reincarnations um of like, you know, insert whatever like the reincarnations of like a fucking like a hydra snake or something because I let me put it this way, kid. Uh Tilly I don't think these individuals have the IQ level. I know this sounds bad because you know when IQ gets referenced, it can sound very negative. But I don't think they actually know. Like, I'm trying to find the right way to put this. I think they might be too stupid for their position to realize how dumb it is what they're saying. Is that too mean to say? I'm trying to find the nicest way to put this. Um,
I I think that I think that a lot of people in PD have their heads been kind of underwater or they've been just barely treading water for a long time and we're really starting to see the it can't be ignored anymore. It's
no,
gotten past the point of it being manageable.
I just don't.
And
Sorry, go ahead.
you know, I would say that the sheriff's office is still so fresh. I'm not going to make judgments or really comments about that. You know, I do think that it's important to give that a little bit of time and see how that plays out, pans out. But as far as LSPD goes, you know, Ruby and
Yeah.
Barrick, they've been assistant chief and chief for a while
Mm.
now, and I've seen little good change, and just it seems like it just consistently, from what I've heard, getting worse and worse. I mean, there was an officer that came to me last night, you know, and she was expressing her frustrations with the PD and considering quitting. And you know, there's another officer that just recently quit. She's a fantastic officer that you know, was told as she was quitting that she was essentially holding down the shift, and that, you know, it's a huge loss. And you know, why are these good officers leaving the force, you know?
I feel like the answer's pretty like like self-explanatory when you have cops who are just violating people's rights so blatantly and then trying to blackmail them when first impressions are you a cop or a criminal, which is what it feels like.
Oh yeah, I mean,
It's so dense.
I've
Like,
literally gotten asked that by a cop before. You know, the I was repairing a car, a cop car, and this officer was like, "Hey, so how's it been? Now that you're not a cop, you criminal now?" And I think I had
what?
just gotten my bar license, and I was just like, "No." You know what I think it is?
Yeah.
I think what it comes down to is I it's a
These
you
people have
know,
given up.
no, I just think that
Yeah, I don't know.
high command and command, they are, for lack of a better term, the managers of the PD.
Yeah.
They oversee, they manage the people, they make sure that their department is running. And just because you're a good cop does not mean that you're a good manager of cops. And I just think that the management of the PD is very much lacking.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what they're doing or what they're not doing. I haven't been in PD for over a month, but what I personally noticed is there was a very much a lack of management
Mm.
happening. And like basically the cops are just kind of let loose to do what they want with little to no
Consequence.
yeah. And it's, you know, the it shows. It's showing.
So I would agree with that in that my impression has been like I thought the newspaper writers forgot to start putting arrest names into the paper, only to then find out that they weren't arresting people. And then when I kind of like took a step back, I was like, holy shit, are they taking their anger out on these people with these warrants that they can't fight? Are they like getting an arrest? Like, for example, Dundee got mag dumped without a gun in hand. Like, are they just like, we need this, right? But even the management thing aside, for me, my reprehension isn't so much can they get the arrests and this and that. It's the lack of moral fiber that is worse than I think I have with my past from like 10 years ago, where
Yeah.
like in my mind, why is a sheriff, why is an assistant chief like making such wholesale conclusions on an individual's person. Like I'm not in my own fields. I could give a fuck, right? But
Mm-hmm.
for me, I'm like, if these individuals, from me pressing on a FOIA issue, have labeled me a snake and this, that, and the center, despite my history, which is nothing more than being a businessman fixing their vehicles, then, oh my God, what are they going to think of someone that actually might even consider doing crime? You know what I mean? Like, it's just I don't know how to fix that. That's a mental problem. Like, not that, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's like their
I
mental
mean,
is off.
yeah.
You can't fix that. You can't fix that with management. That's like these individuals, from their like root cause of their moral fiber, they're not saying we're here to serve and protect. They're saying you're either with us or against us, and
Yeah.
that's so
I don't
dangerous.
I don't think you're wrong there. I definitely, I don't know. When I was a cop, it wasn't really, I didn't really think of the people that I was arresting as like inherently bad. It's like they just do bad things. But I think that there's definitely this, like you said, us against them, or you're with us or you're against us, and that, there is this bias of, if you do bad things, you must be a bad person, and we're better than you because we do good things, or what we believe are good things.
No, it's abuse of power. It's a use of abuse of privilege. I mean, even just what happened to Tilly, like it can be a one-off, but then it makes you think, like, how many times have they lied in a warrant, right? There's like understandable accidents, right? They think they saw one thing, they wrote something else, but like something where they did all that and then it's like, and then they never reported it. They never took self-accountability. And in their mind, they've probably gotten away with it. And then what about the times of the things we didn't hear? There's one other thing that was mentioned to me that really rubbed me the wrong way. Is that situation with the dispatcher led to another incident that I can't really get into too much, but let's just say they did something that my understanding would have gotten you instantly fired in the past. And I don't know how to make sense of it. I think where I'm left here with all this, kid, is I had a plan of action, right?
Mm-hmm.
But now, when I now have the perception that the police department is kind of rotten to the core, maybe I need to think of who a commissioner would be. And I think without a new commissioner in place, that at least sets like a expectation for moral, like morality, right? Like what is right and wrong. Like I don't see it's the shit is rolling downhill, and so something's got to be put above it, like a bidet. I need a bidet, kid. I need to put a bidet on top. Do you know any bidets?
Do I know any bidets? I mean, I think that that's something that, could look at and try to figure out who would be the best fit for that.
You think that's off base, me saying that, like, pretty much a new commissioner is needed?
Well, Max is currently the commissioner, so there would have to be a new commissioner.
True.
Because once Max isn't mayor anymore, I mean, I can't imagine that he would stay commissioner.
Yeah.
I mean, the man's potentially going to be impeached anyways, so...
Good point.
But, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I definitely think that things need to change. I think it's things need to change at the top, you know,
Yeah.
whether whatever that may mean, but these policies and I think these mentalities are stemming from the top and they're trickling down, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, that's yeah. No, that's exactly it. Like I mean, procedure and legality aside, just the notion of good versus evil, it, that's not healthy for to be in the in the mindset of a police officer. Like that's like that like I don't even look at when I look at gangs that look at things that way. I don't take them like I look down on gangs that break things down like that. You
Yeah.
know, and this is a police department. So, oh shit. All right. Well, I've got a lot of cooking to do, to be honest. Oh, by the way, you should know this.
Hmm.
Tilly, the whole thing with Tilly and this like supposed leak. What actually happened is she was helping me get a document that I believed I already had access to. Because you know how like
Yeah.
you get the tags, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So my
And
tags are
then
scuffed. Like not scuffed, but like they're fucked up. So she was giving me something that I should have already had access to. Neither
but then
I
it
nor
ended up
her.
being completely different from
Well,
what we have access to.
well, that's the thing is that I didn't know that. I had this in that entire time assumed it was the same document. So there was no like, you know, there was no like action that was going to take place beyond what I was already planning to do. It
Yeah.
wasn't until I talked to Judge Bailey, who then, like, while we were getting, because we were talking past each other and there was so much confusion because he was referencing things I didn't know what he was referencing. And that's when he sent me the PD version and the lawyer version.
Mm.
And I told Ruby this, but, and this is kind of what I mean by there being such a severe problem, is that when I was discussing with her in good faith, like, hey, let's find a middle ground. Like, you don't want lawyers like myself who bring bite in to, like, end up having to, like, put all these appeals up. Like, no one wants to, like, I don't want you guys stuck in court. I don't want you guys stuck behind a desk. Like, there needs to be a middle ground. Like, help me find what that middle ground is until we find a better solution. Is that it's almost like she was listening to the conversation with her eyes glazed. But the moment I mentioned that, like, even the PD and the lawyer version is different,
Hmm.
her ears and her attitude, like, completely perked up. And it was like, where'd you get that from? And I'm like, what? No, Judge Bailey gave it to me.
Yeah.
That it's almost like I could sense she, like, seemed like, thought it was, like, a lie and that I was covering up. Like, I knew the moment she said that, she was like, I could tell this was about Tilly, even though, like, you know what I mean? Like, she didn't, like,
Yeah.
Tilly didn't do anything wrong, but I know, like, all of a sudden, like, I just had that, like, inkling, like, you know what I mean? Like, oh, who's the leak, right? And I said,
Yeah.
Judge Bailey, and she, you know, like, it didn't matter. And so then, like, hearing this from Tilly, I'm just like, bro, like, I don't understand. Like, it's like I literally had no idea until Bailey told me. But for some reason, I think in her mind, it's like some grand conspiracy when there isn't. And you know the worst thing about it is,
Hmm.
according to both of those documents, Tilly did nothing wrong.
Yeah. I mean, I was talking to Tilly earlier today, and she said that I mean, regardless, I'm just glad that she didn't get the short end of the stick, and that she still has
Yeah.
her job. And but then look what happened is they went through her phone without her permission. It's crazy. Like, I was trying to figure out when she told me that like, I know that if a phone is on your person, right? Um, it's illegal to search it. It's illegal to look at the SIM card. But I was trying to figure out, does that still apply if they find a phone on the ground?
Oh,
You know, you
absolutely.
think so?
Absolutely. Because the thing is, um, the way that it went down
It's
is
still somebody's property,
it's
like
still someone's
inherently.
property.
Yeah.
And the thing is, they were told it was Tilly's. And
That's
they
that's
have her number, so they
crazy.
would just be
That
like, put it in the contact and be like, okay, that's Tilly's number. The SIM card says it's hers. Done and done. They and that's what makes it so much worse. Is like just by Tilly's retelling, it's so obvious they covered up such a horrendous act. Is that they wanted to dig through her phone like they were digging through someone's like dresser drawers. For what? I don't know what dirty laundry they were looking for. Whether it was for like personal ha-ha hee-hees, whether it was like, and this is a scary thing,
and
right? Because it's
you
it's a what is it? Like a four, like
and if they genuinely just wanted the phone number, that's all they had to get. But for Tilly to say then that what's his face like actually went through and looked for a while, oh my god.
yeah. They were looking for something. It was malicious. Whether to, like, in a worst case, what? Like, I mean, think about it. It's all gross. It really is. Like, to what? Get her fired? Because they can fire her without reason. Like, I told her this. I'm like, they could not like your hair color and fire you. So, like, was it for that reason? Was it because they wanted to stand around in a circle and talk shit? Was it to potentially get information that they could use on another case? That's even nasty too. Imagine they did it to be like,
But
yo,
it's
let's go
I
find some
mean,
info on someone, and then we
but
know
it's
where to look. Like, it's all
inherently
bad.
they can't, I mean, yeah, they can't use any of that information, but you're right, like knowing where to look, you know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what they were looking for, but I feel bad for her. I feel like she's just really,
Targeted? Oh, very
yeah, a little
obviously.
bit. It's
I don't even think a little bit. I mean, between Ruby's reaction when I said what I did, like, completely didn't give a shit about everything else. Like, hey, let's work together. I don't want to try to screw you guys over. To, like, oh, wait, hold on, leak? Hello? Oh my God, you know, my PD gang in trouble. Like, you know, like, what the fuck? And then with them looking through the phone, like, I mean, it's obvious, it's targeted. For
yeah.
what ends, I don't know. I mean, maybe because she can hold a conversation, right? Like,
Maybe. I So what are you feeling though? Like I know you were saying that you're you're unsure if you even want to proceed with this given, you know.
I'm probably still going to where I the wall that I'm now facing is I did not realize the police department was this bad until today. And if the ability to process individuals, characters, the you know, comes down to and wait, and to be very clear, when I say that C word, I mean, you know, like character witnesses and such.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I understand.
Yeah, you know, you know, it becomes like very I'm dealing with very shallow thought processes, and that's going to be a lot of baby feeding unless a big entity like a big, oh my God, I'm using such unfortunate word choices, so bear with me. It would require very big personality, like someone with a lot of charisma, right?
Mhm.
To change that mentality. I need to kind of in my mind figure out what that would be and who that would be, because my otherwise fear would be if I'm already being treated this way, and let's just say maybe my profile might be getting abused due to calling someone useless. If you're picking up on what I'm putting down here, kid,
Mhm.
then I should not even touch the police department because they're useless. There's no point. You know what I mean? And that instead, I need to win the mayorship without the PD vote and literally replace it with a member of that department that has functioning synapses, that can think beyond good and bad, and can think on what is legal, what is illegal, and that this is a person, not whether or not they're employed by law enforcement. And that's a big task. And that's going to be a lot of heat. That's going to cause a lot of enemies and a lot of bent up feelings. And that's what I'm worried about.
Yeah, but I I think at the same time though, no matter what you do, there's always going to be somebody that is upset. Somebody is going to get their feelings hurt. You're always going to have pushback in one way or another. And I think that as long as you are making these decisions based on, you know,
I think
what
we
will
need
what will
Kit on our
affect
campaign.
positive change, in the long run, what will help the people of Los Santos, of San Andreas, what will make things better over time.
Yeah.
That what is that? Like you gotta like
She's
break
a
a
good
couple eggs
foil
or
to Nino.
whatever. That saying, I don't know what the saying is, but you know what I mean? Like it's not gonna be pretty.
No.
Um but if in the long run it can help and it can help improve the PD and help improve the relationship between the people in PD and the DOJ and PD, um I, I think you kind of have to do what you have to do.
You're right. You're right. Oh, fuck. I was thinking to myself, this morning when I woke up, I felt like I was looking at Mount Chiliad, and I said, you know what, I can hike that mountain. Now I'm looking at Mount Everest. Or like I was looking at Mount Everest the entire time, but I thought it was Mount Chiliad. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. It's not going to be easy, And just like in the campaigning alone, I mean, you're up against Pred and uh,
I'm more worried
I
about Oswaldo. I'm going to keep it real.
Osvaldo is very well liked, and he, I think, has wanted to be mayor for a long time.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, I remember he ran up against someone 7 years ago, and he's very good at garnering votes, making sure. Well, yeah, it's a tough one. You know what?
I think I will say I think between Osvaldo and Pred, I think Osvaldo would obviously be better for everybody. I don't know. I feel like this is a power grab for Pred,
Agreed.
And like a lot of things are, and I think that's one of the like inherent issues right now with some of these positions of power within the city is that it definitely feels like the people in those positions, it's very much a power grab.
That's
It's not with the intention of helping people, it's with the intention of helping themselves.
and you know that's how I feel about the PD high command right now. Is that it seems as though those who got those positions did it out of a feeling of not what is good for the city, but people that wanted power. And I feel
I
like
I
that.
would say hold that judgment on Bones and Cassidy because I do think that they genuinely want to have a good and fair department. I mean, only time will tell, but I can't really speak for Ruby or Barrick, and Barrick's my
Mm.
dad. Um, just given what
Oh,
I've seen,
yeah.
or the lack of the lack of movement on their part as far as improving the LSPD.
Okay. I'll give him a fair shake. Like I said, Bones' commentary definitely rubbed me the wrong way. It seems very presumptuous.
Yeah, yeah. I
And that's dangerous. But I'm
yeah.
gonna hold my judgment. I'll hold it for now. I think like I said, I think Tilly's situation definitely doom spiraled me tremendously. It's you know, uh I feel like those three need to be fired if I'm gonna keep it honest. What do you think should happen with Tilly? Like, she's such in a impossible position. I don't want to, you know, chew your ear off on this, but it's how do you
Um
resolve that without firings? Because either she ends up just having to pretend none of this happened, or she brings it up, and those three, their word, they're like I, I don't know how do you how do you allow them to
it's
do police work?
you are right that it is kind of an impossible situation, and while I do think that Slacks maybe has, some moral fiber to him that I would hope that he would be honest. I can't speak for Maeve or Riker.
Mm.
Um, it's hard, and what I told Tilly is that you have to look at what you really want. Because she was considering, joining the PD and becoming a cadet. But if she does go through with a lawsuit against them, I think that, and I hate to say it, I think that door will close.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh,
I, I
100%.
I don't know how she would be able to join the PD after suing the PD. I think too much damage would be there.
Yeah.
But so she has to kind of decide for herself what she really, really wants. Um, and know that if she does decide to go down the path of suing them, that, she's essentially burning that bridge. Granted, in my opinion, by the way that they acted and what they did, they kind of burned that bridge themselves.
Yeah. I would agree.
But I doubt they see it that way.
The other way to look at it too is, this Maeve and Rika. Ultimately, they do answer to Slacks, and I think that makes him the primary, you know,
Yeah,
culprit in all this.
if they
Um,
see him doing it, they probably think, well, oh yeah, it's fine then. If he says it's fine, it must be.
yeah, I mean, for
Uh,
them, they might just be following orders, um, which is unfortunate. Slacks. I thought he had a better head on his shoulders. Um,
I did too, honestly. I hope that there's something that we're just not seeing here,
yeah,
you know, that I really do hope it is not as bad as it actually appears to be.
maybe it was just like a Conan Clarkson moment for him or something.
Hmm. maybe.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's I don't know. What do you think about her situation?
If I were her, I would not. I would actually. So, I don't know. It's such a tough, because the thing is, right? Like, I'm in a much more privileged situation in that, you know, um, I have other avenues. For her, she's dedicated a lot of time for this to be her career. And now it's a question of her career or doing the right thing. It's
Yeah.
easy for me to be like, she should speak out against it, make it a point, and this become the epitome of change in the police department. And then whatever this future department looks like, which at this point, in my opinion, is almost a necessity, she would find a home in it, because in a rational society, she would be in the right for everything thus far. But right now, they're operating under rather irrational, like in a very irrational mode, right?
I'm going to be honest with you. I just don't know how it even got to this point within PD. I really don't know. I mean, you know, I was in PD before the economic collapse, and you know, people had their opinions about it and whatever. You know, you know, they said that it was dysfunctional or whatever, but wasn't anything like this.
I
Like
Yeah.
this, if somebody had done half the stuff that happens now back then, they just it just wouldn't have happened, or they wouldn't have had a job.
Yeah. Yeah. No, you're not wrong. I mean, I I remember fixing their vehicles and like arguing about traffic tickets. Now there's full blown like NSA levels of like, we can do whatever the fuck we want. It genuinely is like, I know there's always been the jokes of like a gang, but it literally, I felt, you know what I felt like? I felt I was talking to irrational gang leaders. Oh my God. Man, I want to make a comparison, but it's got other implications. Which, fuck. It's like I'm talking to irrational gang leaders of an absolutely dysfunctional police department. Like irrational gang leaders, but like, you're like, listen guys, here's the deal, and they're just like, no, like, you know what I mean? Like, there's no, like, what do you mean no? It's a conversation. There's no yes or no. Like, what's your take?
Yeah.
You know, I was
Yeah,
gonna say
I mean, I
ESP,
think
but
that
ESP has
that
OOC
kind of sums it
implications, so
up
I'm not
pretty
gonna use it.
well. Um, yeah, I just, I mean, you know, at the end of the day, as much as I like Osvaldo, I just, I just feel like, so, given the next mayor has to kind of be reactionary against you know, kind of everything that Max set in place, you know,
Yeah.
and basically has to go through and try to fix it
That
because
exactly. I'd say, as far as like, they'd have to be proactive enough to literally catch up on the 7 months of technical debt in the legislation. And I'm going to go even further and say, have the backbone to actually go up against Crane, because he is the definition of a grumpy old man who thinks that everything that's in his mind is understood by everybody, off like 3 sentences. Because, oh my God, let me tell you, kid. Like, when I talked about the FOIA and this and that, the amount of, like, grumbling and the amount of, well, that's not how it's supposed to work, so it's not a problem. Man, that was a tough conversation. Trying to explain to him, like, listen, if this wasn't an issue, there wouldn't be 5 different stories as to how it's supposed to work because there's only 3 sentences. Like, come on. People need to be, it's not even about spoon feeding. That's what law is for. It's gotta explain so any layman can read it and be like, I get this.
What do you think of the council? Do you think that the council is effective, or do you think that
no.
oh yeah, I did. You don't think the council's effective?
No, I think the proof is in the pudding is when you look at all the legislation that's been passed, the majority of it has been useless. In 7 the way I put it, in 7 months, if the city council, lawyers, whatever, have allowed the FOIA to remain where it is, like literally, which is like kind of the basis by which we can even defend like the rights of citizens, then everything's just fucked. Like everything is restrictive. It's like having like an extreme communistic society or dictatorial society where they're saying no, 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 right? Instead of being like your liberties, like there should have been way more like legislation on people's liberties, because without that,
I mean,
it's just authoritarian.
You look at some of the things that they passed within the legislation that they passed during those council meetings, and it just feels incredibly out of touch. Things that are just kind of like, why is this being discussed? I mean, I know it's been repealed, but like the adoption policy, who gives a shit? Why don't you actually look at the rights that people are, that are being violated on a daily basis? Why don't you look at things quality of life that'll inherently make people, improve people's lives each day? It just kind of blows my mind.
Well, I'll tell you why. Me and Max had a relatively good relationship. Hell, I was there when he wanted to fucking blow up the city. It was in a meeting like 7 years ago. And I was aware when he got broken out, and who broke him out? A prison. And this fucking stupid piece of dog shit, after everything I've done for him, had the gall, after having run my mechanic shop, first independent one in the city, due to a personal beef that his chief of staff, Juno Sweeney, had with Eve Summers, whose only role up until that point was get me a fraction of material. He told me, after I explained to him the woes of mechanics, asked me for a list of...
Nino, can I call you back in just 2 minutes? Sorry. I'll call you right back. Okay. Sorry. Bye.
Talk to you in a minute. All right, I gotta go get some food. That was a good convo.